There are a lot of games you could possibly play in this world. You have one life after all. So why not spend it on the greatest game ever made? I'm of course talking about Old School Runescape. Old School Runescape is one of the biggest games in the MMORPG genre, and it's making more noise than ever before, recently breaking player number records over a decade after launch. Old School Runescape was released in 2013, originally as a restoration of a 2007 version of RuneScape, the version that many, including myself, remember from our childhood. That game has now morphed through 10 years worth of updates into something nostalgic for those of us that are creeping towards a retirement home, and engaging enough for youth whose brains have been rotted by TikTok and Skibidi Toilet. Why are so many people playing the game now though? What's so special, not the graphics, about it that player numbers are spiking? Well, it's really not too long a story, so settle in and welcome to Gillinor. Special thanks to my patrons who keep the channel running, and a huge thanks to the community on Discord and Twitch for their support. More info at the end of the video or down below. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Whether you played when you were a kid or are completely new, there's something for everyone in Old School RuneScape. The controls are simple but lead you down a rabbit hole to a deep, open-ended RPG. Welcome to your quick guide on how to play. If you want to move somewhere, interact with an item or object, or attack an enemy, just click on it. That's it, that's all, guide over. You may notice though that sometimes your movements or actions seem a little delayed, and that's by design. You see, RuneScape runs on a tick system where it updates once every 0.6 seconds. This means that I lied to you. This isn't an RPG, this is a rhythm game, running at a steady 100 beats per minute. The tick system is deep, and this isn't really the place to talk about it, but it's worth knowing that much at least before you jump in. When you order your character to do something, they'll start doing it on the next available tick, and doing basically anything in the game will reward you with some form of experience for one of the 23 skills, soon to be 24. Every single time I chop a log, cook a fish, bury a man, I get a little reward, and it makes my brain go, This means that nearly everything you do in the game will lead to a reward of some kind, some form of progression for your character, and it's just as well. Reaching the maximum level of 99 in just one of these skills can take upwards of 100 hours of game time. Reaching 99 in all skills is a goal that many players work towards for a long time. It doesn't just happen overnight, and that brings me to something important. RuneScape isn't a game you play over a weekend and finish. It doesn't have to be a lifestyle, but there's no denying it's long form. That, however, doesn't mean that it's slow. Training methods for every skill will always present options and trade-offs between their speed, cost, and effort involved. This means that if you're good at making money, you'll end up with access to some pretty speedy training methods. And if you want to keep costs low while you train, you can always take the slower, more relaxed route. I personally often go for the second option, and that's because for one thing, I'm real bad at making money, but also there's a huge player-run economy where almost every single item in the game is traded for gold pieces. This means that low-skill players like me can just save up to buy drops from the hardest bosses instead of actually earning them myself. What makes this economy so accessible and easy for the player base to participate in is the fact that RuneScape runs in a more or less horizontal progression format. This means that when an update rolls out with new gear or training methods, it's rarely just better than what we have already. There are trade-offs over other stuff, or the new thing fills a niche that was previously empty. And that doesn't mean that we don't get new best-in-slot gear, powerful upgrades, and better training methods, but it means that those things are rolled out slower. This ultimately means that content from over 20 years ago is still somewhat viable to do and not completely discarded like what happens in other MMOs. Because of this, you can easily take time away from the game, and it will mostly be the same game you left when you come back. And you will come back. There's no quitting RuneScape, you just take an extended break. Once you pop, you can't stop. Once you're in, you'll never get out. There's no leaving. This is a cry for help. The team behind Old School RuneScape is relatively small in terms of MMO team sizes, but they are mighty. There is almost always exciting new updates on the horizon, and in the last few years they've gotten really good about giving the community roadmaps on updates and only giving us what we agree to, which they measure using polls. Now, Polls are a little controversial. After over 10 years of the game running, some players are starting to wonder if polls are really good for the game anymore, but I will say that I still appreciate that nearly everything that goes into the game is voted on by the community. It doesn't always work out, but to me it makes it feel far more like our game than just a game. Speaking of updates, 2024 is looking like another solid year. At least as things are panning out here in February, let me know down below if it's all coming apart at the seams. We'll be getting our second new region exclusive to Oldschool Runescape, Varlamore. Varlamore is said to be some kind of cross between Roman and Mayan aesthetics. It will contain a huge amount of brand new content for players of all levels, including the Hunters Guild, which should breathe new life into the skill, as well as the Civitas Illa Fortis, a new challenge for the masochists of the game, similar in level to the Inferno, the game's current greatest challenge, which I'm trying to beat over on my Twitch streams every Friday at 5 PM on Friday the 5th day of the week. If it's Friday the 5 PM we're also set to sail upon the several seas in Old School's first brand new and exclusive skill, sailing. The idea of the skill started out as a joke way back in the game's early days, but what was once a joke is now becoming a serious skill, which should see us cutting about on the high seas in our very own boats. Everything Jagex showed us at the Winter Summit looks incredibly promising, so if you want to get ready to sail over to Varlamore, then now is a great time to start playing, especially with the recent release of Scurius, the Rat King, a new mid-level boss designed to help new players understand the mechanics of late-game boss encounters. But Gilgadane, I hear you cry. The game looks fucked ugly, why would you ever play this? Shh, my sweet little baby, let me tell you about high definition. A majority of the player base plays the game through the third-party client RuneLite. There'll be a link in the description, and it's frankly my recommended way to play the game. This is because RuneLite gives you access to open source plugins which can do stuff from marking tiles to naming pets to whatever the fuck these are, and even an HD plugin to give the game some sick modern shadow effects, like the whole thing has just been dumped into Unreal Engine. Nintendo, hire this man! This plugin was made by a solo developer known as 117, but Jagex have recently announced that they'll be launching their own HD mode for Old School, using their official client, and it looks gorgeous. It's similar to 117's efforts, but since it's in Jagex's own engine architecture, they can make even more use of in-depth features never seen before. Now, if you're wondering what I mean by clients, basically just download RuneLite and play the game on there for now. If I reach 5,000 subscribers, I'll make a video on all of the clients people use to play the game, but for now all you need to know is that there is an official client and RuneLite is preferred by most of the player base. Like I said before, there's something for everyone in OSRS. There are challenging bosses, 22 super fun skills and also thieving, Iron Man modes with intense restrictions like having 1 life or no bank. Some people even do PvP. I'm scared of them, I do not understand their ways. It's not all sunshine and rainbows though. Before you start playing, it's worth knowing that there are some negative sides you might encounter. The game is long. Even with fast training methods, it can take a long time to reach your goals. That might be a deal breaker for some, but for me and many others, it's what makes the game so rewarding. You work so hard on something and you finally achieve that goal, and it really feels like you've earned it. And there's always more to work towards too. Not a single player has ever filled every single slot in the collection log. You could be the first. You may never run out of fun to have here. The community, in my opinion, having played quite a few other MMOs, is fantastic. No gaming community is perfect though, and RuneScape is definitely not an exception. There are scammers, hackers, and botters galore, and while they shouldn't affect your experience too much, you should always be on the lookout for people trying to get one over on you. Personally, I found a great community here, but if anyone ever offers you a deal that's too good to be true, just say no. I've had negative experiences in the past, but the positives far outweigh them. There is a huge adventure out there, begging to be played in any way you can imagine. The game truly is what you make of it, and there's a great community of players that are passionate and welcoming, as long as you avoid PvP or the high level community. Welcome to Gillinor. Welcome to RuneScape. As always, I'd like to thank the patrons that make these videos possible, like Dat Pup and Fisai Faye at the Max Infernal tier, Saint and Mayor at the Max tier, and Tom and Angel Kittybot at the Infernal tier. If you'd like to join them and get yourself a marked tile that will show up in all my videos, then hit the link in the description, where you'll also find an invite to my community Discord, where we talk about the game, group up to take on raids, and apparently bully me. If you like the sound of that, then follow me on Twitch too for basically 3 hours of taking the piss out of Gilgadane being bad. And those are every Friday, 5 PM GMT, every week, every single week until the end of goddamn time.